Hello, beautiful souls. Okay, so in the middle of the night, well, 3 a.m, I had a lot of messages come through. So I started journaling on them and knew I had to do a video today for you guys on these things, in addition to a video I was going to do last week. But I'm still learning how to use Loom so I can share my screen and show different things. So I made some diagrams that I'll share with you. So there's a lot of hype about the law of attraction, okay? But what so many people are missing is the law of vibration. Everything in our reality is a vibrational match to where we are overall, our overall frequency. So if we're operating in the vibration of fear most of the time, we are going to attract more fear into our life, more circumstances that bring up this fear, more events, people that are also in that same frequency, okay? I did a podcast on this, on how I was in a lot of fear and I manifested my dog getting stolen because I was particularly afraid of him getting stolen. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it right now, but if you want, you can go check out my podcast, which is on my link tree on Instagram, or DM me and I'll send it. It explains the power of our frequency, our energy body, and our thoughts. I also manifested getting him back. So thank goodness for that. But I talk deep about the power of the thought and belief and faith and trust in that podcast. Okay. So when you're at the operating at more of a higher frequency, and I'll go into the frequencies and why it's easier to manifest and call in the things that we want at higher frequencies. But if you're operating more in love and peace and joy and bliss and gratitude, you are going to call in more experiences like that. Okay. And these higher frequencies are synonymous with the frequency of abundance, of expansion. So there's two base frequencies that all of these are basically derivatives of. There is fear and there is love. So you're either operating in fear or you're operating in love in any given moment. We can switch from fear to love to fear to love, but you cannot be in both at one moment in time. So another thing that's synonymous with love is expansion, is abundance, is joy, is ease. This is our actual natural frequency. A lot of indoctrination comes in and puts us into fear, into contraction, into scarcity mindset. When we are afraid to invest in ourselves, I did a live on this the other day, when we're afraid to invest in ourselves, regardless if we have millions of dollars or if we have $10 in our bank account, that comes from a scarcity mindset. That comes from fear. That comes from contraction. So it's really interesting because I've seen people with like literally billions of dollars who are operating in scarcity. And I've seen people with thousands of dollars only in their bank account that are operating in massive abundance. And the more we operate in abundance, in joy and peace, the more it comes back, it flows through us. That was kind of beside the point, but I just want you guys to see where in your life you're operating in scarcity. This also happens in relationships. Oh, I really like this person. Oh my goodness, now I'm so attached to them. Oh, are they going to like me back? They're the only one. They are the one. That's scarcity. There's billions of people on the planet. This is why at this point in my life, I don't get super attached to one person, one friendship, one partnership. I'm all about monogamy personally, but I just trust that the right person will come into my life at the right time. And if I have feelings for somebody, and we give it a try and it doesn't work out, I'll grieve it and then I'll let it go, because I know that there are so many people and there is somebody who is meant to have a partnership with me in this lifetime for the rest of my life. And I don't know who that is, but the fact of the matter that I'm trying to say here is, like, whether it's in relationship or finances or friendships or jobs, if we are operating in scarcity and fear, we're going to draw more of that to us. If we're operating in abundance and love and expansion, we're going to draw more of that to us. So I encourage you to start to be aware of where in your life you're operating in scarcity and fear and contraction, and where you're operating in abundance and prosperity and love. And if you don't know where you're operating, or you don't know what abundance would do, what would love do? Just ask yourself, what would the baseline do? And then what would fear do? And see where you're making your decisions from. Okay. So the 0 point, I just want to know a little bit of a tangent, but the 0 point, that's what I want to talk to you about today. So I drew a little diagram because I don't know if you can see this. This is an image I found on the internet. It's a very simplified image of the frequencies, but I drew a bigger one just so you could see. So these lower frequencies are things like lust and competition. And you can see this is the 0 point where the points hit, okay? And then we go to guilt, shame, fear, doubt, which is a little bit of a higher frequency. And then anger, hate, judgment, and then love, more love, gratitude, joy, bliss, ecstasy. I don't know if you guys can see that, but then basically here it says less matter, more energy. And then down here is more matter, less energy. This is life force energy I'm talking about. Then here is elevated emotions, and here are survival emotions. Okay, so these lower ones are survival emotions. It's when we're incoherent. Our brain and our hearts are incoherent. We can't think. We're just looking to survive, like a tiger's chasing us. Most people in society, especially in the last few years, have been operating in this fear, this doubt, this guilt, this shame, this lust, this competition. And it's not bad. We're literally, the society we live in indoctrinates us into that. So it's our job to start raising our vibration and getting us into these higher frequencies. And if you see, where's my pen? Okay, here. Okay, so if you see these points right here, where the wavelength is at its tip, these are the 0 point. This is where we connect to source. Each of these points, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. That's why the higher frequencies we're connecting to source more easily than the lower frequencies, which we're connecting maybe here, here, and here, versus here, 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 here. That's why as you raise your vibration, you start to be able to channel more. You start to be able to get these deep intuitions more. You're touching this 0 point, this source energy, this high frequency that's faster than the speed of light more often. So this is why it's so much more easy to manifest and co-create the things that we want in our life as we raise our vibration, because we're more connected to source. I've been studying this for years, guys. And the first time it was only a few months ago that I connected those dots of the 0 point. My mind was blown. I was like, I knew whenever this is so funny. I called in energies into this room before, and my dog's literally like on his back right in front of me. Anyways, I realized when I was living at the highest vibration, the highest frequency, or when I am, it's so much more easy to manifest like what I want to call in. And when I'm at a lower frequency, when I'm living in fear or guilt or shame, I'm just manifesting more of that. And it's really hard to call in to manifest the things that I actually desire. And then I realized because at the higher vibrations, we are more connected to source. And that is our essence. We are pure love. We are pure abundance in our essence. That's how we're born. We come into this world not hating anybody, not being prejudiced, not being racist, not living in scarcity or I need to survive and I need to compete and all of these things that we're indoctrinated into. There is so much abundance on this planet, like so much abundance. This lie that there's not enough, gotta hoard, it's a lie. It is a lie, and it's falling and it's ending. If you're following the markets in the last few years, like you'll see things are shattering, and they have to for us to get into the age of Aquarius, the new earth, whatever you want to call it. If this is too much for some of you, I love you. You don't need to watch, but I cannot hold back on all of this stuff that I've been studying and channeling. And I've been so scared to share this because people judged me when I started, my clairvoyance opened up again, and I thought I was going crazy. I'll do another video on that. But like, it's time. It is time that more people realize the power within them. And that is one of the biggest things for me in this lifetime, and why I think I am here right now, and why I went through so many initiations the last few years, especially last year, so many challenges, so much adversity, was for me to realize the strength within myself, for me to trust a higher power, to trust source in impossible situations. I very strongly believe I would be dead right now if I didn't connect with source. If I didn't have the faith in certain situations. And if I didn't have the willpower to go through those very, very challenging times and initiations, and then seeing the power within myself, co-creating with source. Anyways, that was off the topic. What are some simple ways that we can start to raise our vibration? Okay, so the first thing we need to do to start raising our vibration, this is why I invest so much. It's all relative. I invest quite a bit of my assets in trauma healing. I have invested quite a bit of my assets in trauma healing. Again, I was living in scarcity before. I was afraid to buy a coffee. I was living off rice and beans at one point. And then I started to make money, but then I was just too afraid to invest it. I'm like, I'll just invest in the market. And then, the market crashed. And then I'm like, what am I doing? And then I started investing in myself. And it's been the best ROI, return on investment, ever. So this is why I've invested so much in my own trauma healing. This is why I've studied trauma healing. This is why I'm so passionate with working with people in trauma healing. My shamanic breathwork, that is the epitome of getting to the traumas and healing them and processing them. And all the energy work I've done as well, which I mix in with the breathwork. The breathwork is my favorite because it's like one shamanic breathwork session is like one energy healing, one Reiki session, 10 Reiki sessions or 10 energy healing sessions is equivalent to one shamanic breathwork session. Sometimes 15 energy healing sessions is equivalent to one. And I've had people process things that they couldn't process in 10, 20 years of therapy, grieve deaths that they never grieved for 15 years. And that's when your life shifts. Your life shifts when you release that, because as a byproduct, you raise your vibration, okay? So trauma healing and releasing the traumas and going into the shadows and seeing what's holding you back, seeing what stuck energies, what belief patterns, this is all trauma healing, guys, okay? It's all within the scope of this. When we release that, it's releasing density from the body. It's releasing stuck energy in the body. This isn't woo. This is actual science. This can be measured. Okay. So trauma isn't what happened. If I'm scaring any of you, I don't have trauma. Trauma isn't what happened. We all have trauma. What trauma is the stuck energy in the body from an emotional experience that you didn't fully process. It could be in your childhood from 0 to 7. That's a lot of those traumas control our life, but it could be way after. There's big T trauma, which is something very profound. It's usually abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. And then there's little T trauma, which could be as simple as, oh, my kettle's, say I'm a mom and my kettle's burning and my baby needs me at that time and starts crying, but I'm like, oh, the kettle's like overflowing, I have to go deal with that. The baby could write that in their brain because they don't have the cognitive thinking yet, that they're unworthy, that they're going to get abandoned, like whatever the story. And then until that trauma is released, that story lives in our energy body, in our energy field, and everything in our life shows to prove that story correct. And it will keep coming back as an opportunity to heal the trauma, because that's what source does. It'll be like, oh, here's another event where you're unworthy, feel this so you can release it. But most of the time we don't feel it fully and we suppress it even more. And then we're like hanging on to the trauma and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And we suppress, put a Band-Aid, put a Band-Aid, put a Band-Aid. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Go to talk therapy where we're reinforcing the pathways instead of actually releasing it. Once it's released, it's gone. It's out of your field and your vibration raises and then your life changes. The amount of women who have come to my breathwork ceremonies who have been in toxic, abusive relationships and left their husbands after one ceremony, holy man, at least 6 women that I worked on with one-on-one or who have just come to one ceremony. That's how it works. It's like, oh, you were abused as a child, therefore you're going to call in this thing that feels familiar. It's not what you want, but it feels familiar. You're an energetic match to it. And then once you release the trauma of that experience from childhood, you start to see it and you're like, whoa, I'm free of this. I can choose differently. This isn't an energetic match anymore. Thank you, bye, abusive relationship. And then you rebuild your life. Same thing with addictions. The addiction covers up the emotion that we don't want to feel, the stuck energy that we don't want to feel. The problem is so many people will say, oh, I'm gonna like stop this addiction. But then they're around it and they're like going crazy. And then they swap it for another addiction because the trauma hasn't been healed. The energy, the stuck energy, the uncomfortable feeling that they're coming up, they try and find another way to cover it up. So they swap from addiction to addiction to addiction to addiction. This is why so many people go to rehab and relapse. They have not healed the root cause. I've worked with these people. My shamanic teacher in Sedona worked in a rehab center and she left because it was so out of integrity. She's worked with a lot of these people as well. If you want to heal an addiction to anything, and an addiction isn't just a substance addiction. It is any behavior that covers up an uncomfortable feeling in the moment. An uncomfortable feeling is because of the stuck energy in the body that hasn't been processed, but causes long-term harm. It could be overworking, it could be over exercising, it could be addiction to sugar, it could be to gambling, it could be to porn, it could be to overworking, it could be to so many things that a lot of society doesn't even acknowledge. Okay, went on another tangent there, but that was very important. So one thing that is super crucial and the main thing I would say to raise your vibration is to do trauma work, release the trauma. So you can do this through many methods. My favorite is shamanic breath work. It's been the most profound for me. For all of my clients, everyone I've worked with, it's a bit more intense for sure, but it helps the trauma release very quickly. Energy work, energy healing with clients that that are a little bit I don't want to say more fragile, but their nervous system isn't strong enough to release the trauma that deeply yet. We'll do it layer by layer by layer, and I'll use more energy healing, okay, and hypnosis and tapping and other techniques, shamanic techniques sometimes, that are a little bit less intense and invasive, so that they can more slowly but still profoundly release the layers of the trauma until it's gone. Meditation is great for this. That's how I started. Got thrown into Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, didn't really know anything about him other than the stuff I learned from like doing the pre-work. I got gifted to me. And one of the meditations, which was the third meditation of the day, was 8.5 hours. I sat through the freaking fire. The samskaras, which are traumas in Sanskrit, started to burn away. My whole life changed after that retreat. My whole life. I'll get into that later in another video, but these are all ways of starting to release trauma. Another thing to raise your vibration is the second, probably, is start to become aware of your thoughts, and more so your beliefs, because our beliefs through the Beck-Carr model create our reality. I'll get into that more. But the first step is awareness in shifting anything. So each thought has a vibration. So catch yourself and start to reframe the ones that aren't in alignment with what you want to call in. Another thing that I really suggest is do things that light you up, like live a life of joy. Joy and abundance and love and peace are all like very similar synonymous frequencies, okay? So if you're doing things that light you up, it's automatically going to raise your vibration. If you're doing things that you hate all the time, then it's automatically going to lower your vibration and your emotional state. They go hand in hand. Move your body. Dance, especially for girls, is so profound to raise your vibration, especially if you're doing like more sensual dance and like getting really deep, or tribal dancing, I love, deep into your body. Spending time in nature, oh, Mother Gaia is huge for me. And the ocean, I'm from the age of Aquarius, I swear, in a past life. I've been told that many times. I don't know, I've never seen that, but I love the water. The most cleansing thing for me that I do myself is going in the sea or the ocean, which is why I want to move to Florida very soon, because I miss the warmer ocean there. But yeah, going in nature and then spending time with the people who are living in joy and alignment, inspiration and peace. We have mirror neurons, which means when I'm spending time around somebody who's very negative, living in a lot of scarcity, having these thoughts, I automatically start to think like them. My brain, I've seen this. I've seen this on brainwave mapping. When we're around certain people, without even doing anything, they start to go in coherence. So be conscious of who you're spending time with. Also, we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So are those people living the life that you want to live? And then do you have mentors who are ahead of you? Do you have tribe who's like, and by ahead, I just mean more evolved, in all realms, like spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They're usually probably a little bit older than you, sometimes not, but people who really inspire you, that are at a place in their life that you aspire to be. Do you have tribe that's in a similar place, that has similar goals, that has similar values? And then do you have people who you are also inspiring? It's important to have all three, and I would say about 33% each is ideal, okay? I'm just looking at my notes here that I wrote at 3 in the morning. Oh, foods. Each food has a vibrational frequency, okay? So organic fruits and vegetables are usually a higher vibration, anything living. The foods that are in the colors of the chakras, so for example, red is root chakra. So like red fruits, like beets, really nourish the root chakra. They make us feel really grounded. Carrots are more sacral. That's our center of creativity, of sensuality. The third one is our center of power and will, and that's yellow. So something like pineapple or parsnips, like those would go with the third chakra. Fourth, obviously, is heart, so leafy greens, green apples. Fifth is throat, and that's blue. Ooh, what foods are blue? I'd have to think on that one. Third eye is purple. Also need to think on foods like that. But anywhere you feel weak in your energy body, try to eat foods that are similar color to those chakras. Cutting down. Oh, this is really interesting, actually. I found this on the internet. I've never seen this before today. But sickness is at the bottom. And then it goes standard American diet, healthier foods, organic foods, superfoods, heirloom foods, living foods, nutri-medical foods, and sunlight. Oh, light is very healing. And then there's the pH scale. Okay, so energy plus vibration equals consciousness. At the bottom are acidic foods. At the top are alkaline foods. So things like coffee, I still drink coffee, love coffee, but like if you can cut down on it, 1 cup a day versus like 10, you're gonna start to raise your vibration. Or if you stop, there's a great product, Not Coffee. My friend Jeremy, it's this product, it's freaking amazing. It's not coffee, but it tastes like coffee, and it's like very, very good quality herbs, etc., that are mixed in the powder. So you can look that up if you want a coffee substitute. That's great. But the more alkaline we are, the more connected we are to source, the higher our vibration naturally goes. There's 3 things that if they are in homeostasis, if they are in alignment, then if 2 of them are, then the 3rd one just naturally goes. So it's our physical body, so physical health, emotional, and chemical. So chemical is like what we're putting in our body. So if we're drinking a lot, also alcohol is very acidic. So if you can cut down on alcohol, you're going to be more connected to source. But if we're drinking a lot and then we're in emotional stress all the time, like 2 of those are out of balance, we're not going to be in homeostasis, and we're not going to be in brain heart coherence, and we're not going to be able to connect to source. We're not going to be able to manifest as easily. But say we work really hard on getting our emotional states. We're doing a lot of meditation, mindful practices, very conscious of our thoughts. And then we're going and taking care of our physical body a lot. So we're working out, we're going to the gym, we're going to the sauna, doing cold plunges, like whatever it may be for you, or a combination of all. Then if those 2 are in balance, naturally the chemical one's going to come in balance. So even if we're like drinking a lot of coffee, like it will still come in balance. Obviously it's ideal if you focus on all 3, and I'm all about living life. I'm all about living life. Like I have tried to cut things out and all these things, and sometimes I do, but I trust my body and I trust what I need. I used to be vegan, and it just wasn't fully, like I felt malnourished, and I felt like I wasn't listening to my body. So now I eat meat sometimes, very good quality meat, but I eat meat, and I love seafood. I eat seafood. So I'm not about constriction, about controlling everything, because then that's just going to make, like, that's not living in abundance. That's not living in expansion. That doesn't feel expansive to me. That feels like I gotta, like, be a robot and put myself in this little box and like living in shame and guilt. Anything you put in your body, if you have shame or guilt about it, those emotions are way worse than anything you put in your body. I'm still about taking care of your body, your vessel. This is your vessel to source. But like, if you're eating all organic food and having shame and guilt about like, oh, I shouldn't eat that, like the emotion of the shame and the guilt is way worse than like, eating some junk food, always, I believe. So also refined sugar, no go. I have it sometimes. One of the most acidic foods that you can have. I started drinking Kangen water. That is pure alkaline water. It's medical grade. If you have any questions, I can send you more info. I retail them now. When I bought it for my health. And then I told the person I bought it from, I'm like, I do not want to retail, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, okay. And then I got it and I started retailing it just because people notice the difference in me and I love it so much. Not pushing anybody, but if you have questions or want more info about that, I can send you a video and we can set up a call if you're interested. It's been life-changing for me. And it's not just water, like it's like face toner, and I don't use chemicals cleaning anymore because there's like cleaning supply. There's a pH for cleaning and like all the things, laundry detergent, like it's amazing. Yeah, so other things to raise your vibration, as I said earlier, meditation, energy work, anything that raises your vibration and makes you feel more whole, more like you, because source is wholeness. It is oneness. Then one more thing I want to bring to your attention. If you are looking to call in, to manifest, to shift anything in your life, to get in more alignment, to be able to channel more, to strengthen any of your clairs, so clairvision, claircognizance, clairsentient, then the more in alignment you are, the more you do these practices, the more those channels are going to be able to open up. It's like energy work. When I first started working with Reiki, it wasn't that strong. But as I practiced on many, many, many people, got stronger and stronger and stronger. And then I was able to start working with different energies like Isis energy, Ganesh energy, Archangel Michael energy, Lakshmi energy. And as I started to mentor with these different ones, it kept getting stronger and it keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And people notice and I notice. So it didn't start that way. A lot of people are like, whoa, like I'll like touch them. They're like, when the energy is channeling and they're like, whoa, like what? You're so gifted. And like, yes, okay. Before I even started, a few people, healers told me like, you have a natural gift, but I practiced. I didn't get to where I am by just like, oh, I'm so gifted, I'm gonna chill. Like I worked for that. I practice every single day. I meditate every single day. I call upon these energies every single day and I honor them and I love them and I give gratitude for them. That's another thing. If you're looking to call in more abundance, gratitude is the highest form of receivership. It is one of the highest vibrations. It's like the more gratitude we have, the more source wants to give to us, the more people want to give to us. So say I gave you a gift and you're like, oh no, thanks. Like that doesn't feel good to me. I don't want to give you anymore because I'm like, oh, that's awkward and weird. But if I give you a gift and you're like, oh, thank you so much, and you're very grateful and open-hearted, I'm like, that feels good. Like I want to give more. The universe is the same way. The more gratitude you have, the more it wants to give to you. And having gratitude before the event happens is key. Yeah, and the last thing is that you can't create a new reality with the familiar emotions of the past. So if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and living in the same emotions over and over and over again, the same behaviors over and over and over again, you cannot expect a different result. That is the definition of an insanity. You have to shift something. Become aware of it, become aware of your negative thought patterns, become aware of your negative habits, become aware of what's holding you back, of any traumas that need to be healed, and then you go from there. Of any triggers, that's shadow work. Triggers are huge. They are the biggest gifts in my experience. Whoa, I'm triggered. I definitely have some work to do here because that person just triggered me. Why did they trigger me? It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me. It is something within me that I have disowned, that I have said is bad, shameful, that makes me feel guilty. I'm not for or against religion. Personally, I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious because I understand that we're all connected to God and we don't need to go to a priest to be connected to source. Like we are part source. But in a lot of religions, they suppress our sensuality or sexuality. For females, this is the most potent and powerful energy. This is the energy of creation. We literally birth lives with this energy. So, you know, if I used to be so triggered by girls who were like, would like wear like halter tops or what was the half ones called, whatever those are called, because I was brought up thinking that that was bad and shameful. And now I'm like, oh, like, you go girl, like, you go girl. We don't even have to do the behavior to be like, that's amazing. Or money. A lot of people get triggered by money. Oh, that girl, she's like, oh, she's so rich and she thinks she owns the world. Like, has nothing to do with her or him, has everything to do with what's in your shadow. Any trigger that we have, that's gold. If you look into that and you can heal that, release that, shift that, your life will change like in ways you can't even imagine. Anyways, I love you guys. I hope that helped. I'm going to do some videos on some miracles that I've had in my life, some initiations, some manifestations that like only my inner circle knows about. So that would be coming. Thank you so much for being here. Jill Alana Nixon at Jai Incorporated. By the way, I was going to name my incorporation Ascension Business Coaching, but then the thing didn't go through or wasn't working. And then this is how spirit works. They called me or emailed me. They're like, sorry, it didn't go through. Can you like redo it? And then I was like, okay, so I was going to do that day, but I was biking that morning before I got to my coffee shop to like do my work. And it just hit me, like a ping came through and I was like, I think I'm going to change my incorporation and call it Jill Alana International Incorporated. And I was like, Jai, I wonder what that means. And I looked it up and it meant victory. And I was like, yes. And then for 3 days in a row in my Kundalini yoga group, right after that, my teacher kept talking about victory, because a lot of Kundalini yoga is about victory. And I was like, this is it. It was meant to be. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you all so much love and I appreciate you and I love you and have an amazing, amazing day.